Some places stay with you long after you leave. These are 3 eerie stories found on Reddit about places, all told by the people who lived through them. The first story is by a Reddit user whose account has been deleted. I was driving from Dallas to Tuscaloosa, left at midnight, and drove straight through the night with 2 friends passed out sleeping. It was probably 4 a.m., and I had a quarter tank of gas, which translates to about 100 miles. I see that the nearest town is about 90 miles, so I'm pretty worried about making it. Before I hit that town, I ran into a tiny town that wasn't on the map. A few houses, a gas station, a convenience store, and that was about it. I walk into the gas station and hand the guy $50 so I can fill up. He was a really tall, skinny black guy, like skin wrapped around bones level skinny, probably 6'5" at least. And he just had this eerie look about him. He looks at me, leans over the counter, scans the outside, and looks back at me. He hands me my $50 back and a hat and says, "Look, you look like a nice young fella. You don't want to be out here at this time of night looking like that. Put the hat on, get to your car quickly, and get gas at the next town." Based on the way he said it and how he pointed, looking like that was about being white, I think, but I'm not positive. I was super confused and just said, "I don't have enough gas to get there. That's why I'm here. I didn't even know this place existed." He responds, "It doesn't. Here, there's 2 gallons left in this can. Just drive another 15 to 20 miles out and use those 2 gallons. But please, you need to move now." At that point, I stopped questioning him and left. On my return trip, it was daytime, so I wanted to stop back in and return the can with 2 gallons in it. But wouldn't you know, couldn't find the little town again. It's like it disappeared over the weekend. To this day, I refuse to stop in small towns that aren't on the map. I have no idea what that gas station employee was trying to save me from, but he pushed me out of there with some urgency and even gave me free gas to do so. The next story is by a Reddit user named Foxhunter. My story is less creepy than it is odd, and I've posted it before, so you may have seen it. When I was 13 years old, I bicycled the Natchez Trace Parkway from Mississippi up to Nashville, Tennessee with my dad over the course of a week. As much as I know I complained about the difficulty, it was a great trip with some amazing bonding. I still can't believe my mother let me go. This would have been late 90s. The most interesting story on the journey comes from the day from Belmont, Mississippi to Waynesboro, Tennessee. The previous day, we had ridden further than we expected, 92 miles, because we couldn't find a motel room and weren't biking and camping on this trip, probably my mum's plea. Needless to say, we were a little tired from the previous day. It's a good 75 miles to Waynesboro, but we had a motel tour guide of the trip that said a small motor lodge would be available. The terrain was rolling hills, and they got more difficult after we crossed the Tennessee River in northwest Alabama, so we were ready to be done. We got off the parkway and went about 4 miles west. This little place wasn't actually in the town. It was just an old motor lodge along US 64. It looked straight out of the 50s and had 1 pickup and 1 semi-bobtail parked out front. It looked closed, and we were a little worried. There wasn't anything else listed in our guide. We were dead tired, and no one lives in this part of Tennessee. But we walked in, and sure enough, a couple was at the window and ready to get us a room. In fact, they even had a small diner that they were trying to get open, so we were welcome to join them for dinner. Awesome. You better believe we want to have dinner with you. We took a room, and we were in fact the only ones there besides the trucker. We opened the door and what a shithole. For starters, the walls were that old faux wood board and had seen better days. The carpet was orange shag from probably the 50s or 60s, maybe original to the building. The beds were hard. Oh, and it was about 95 in the room from the day's heat with no AC turned on, which is perfect for after a long, hot bicycle ride. TVs had rabbit ears and got about 1.5 channels. This was 1999, mind you. There was a huge old window unit that we turned on ASAP. Took cold showers to get feeling normal, while the other hung out outside with the door open and went to dinner to let the room cool off. No traffic on this road. Hardly a sign for the town a few more miles up the road. Back in the office/diner, the lights outside were now on, and it was obvious we were the only ones in for dinner. Food? Not that good, but you'll eat anything after a workout of 75 miles. But the folks who ran the place were just wonderful. A husband and wife. They had bought the motel days prior and were trying to get it running again. Would have been closed if we were there a few days before. They were keeping the old place open while they started to redo rooms and get the diner running. They talked about the place and how they wanted to start something like this and how they hoped it would go. They were really interested in us as well, and probably listening for the tourist aspect of what we were doing on the bike trip. The gentleman said that he thought they could get some folks to the diner by introducing a karaoke night. He had just bought a machine and had it hooked up to a TV, but it wasn't working, and he couldn't figure it out. I offered to give it a shot, and I don't know exactly what I did, but in a couple tries, it was fixed again, and he sang a song. And then the power went out. The couple brought out some candles and said that this had already happened to them twice now, but it wasn't them, and they didn't know why it kept happening. We all talked in the dark for a bit, and then we said our goodnights. Went back to our room, and it was still hot. Ugh. My father and I talked about the place, and he said that there was no way that their idea was going to work. But it was too bad, because they were nice people. Went pretty much straight to the uncomfortable beds. Power came on at some point before midnight. Next morning, we had a pretty good breakfast at the diner, and the couple was so apologetic. Nah, it happens. We were happy they were here. We wished each other luck and left out after that. A few days later, after we got to Nashville and took a bus back to get our minivan to go home, we stopped by again, just to say hi. Place was closed up and locked up. No one there. I've tried to look up the place again, but it's been long since demolished. I know the place failed under those folks, but they tried something, and they were gracious hosts. The third and final story was written by the user Reconsked. Many years ago, myself and two of my best friends decided to go for a day of mountain biking at Snowshoe in southern West Virginia. Now, this was way before the days of GPS, so we were kinda doing this by some half-assed directions and an old map. But the point is, we got very lost. Sometime along the way, we ended up in this very tiny little town, and we figured we would ask for directions. It was absolutely deserted. I'm talking not a single soul to be seen anywhere. We parked the truck and split up, looking for anyone. Now, this was at around 9 to 10 a.m., so not exactly the crack of dawn, mind you. We went into the post office. Nobody. We went into the only bar in town, which was unlocked, unattended, with music playing, but not a single soul present. We went business to business to business and walked the streets, and after about 25 minutes, finally found one old guy who just seemed to appear out of nowhere in the middle of town, walking alone. The first question we asked, wasn't even for directions. It was, "Where the hell is everyone?" To which he replied, "Well, I guess folks round here don't get up much till round noon." We asked him for directions to Snowshoe, and he pointed to the road we came in on and said to go that way about 10 miles and make a right, and we will find the interstate. We left quickly. We all had a very bad sense of unease about the whole thing. As we left, we were about 5 miles down the road and hit a lady dressed up in a state road uniform standing in the middle of a very long straightaway holding a stop sign. When we approached her, she turned the sign from slow to stop. We asked what was going on. She stated that there was road construction ahead. We told her of what just happened, and she just kind of laughed and said, "Those people in that town are kind of strange, but let it slide." So we actually started talking to her, waiting for a line of traffic to come by from the opposite direction. We actually ended up talking to her for about 45 minutes to an hour, just talking. Kind of got lost in the convo. Not one single vehicle ever approached from the other direction or behind us. Eventually, she said, "Well, I guess it's clear now, and y'all can go ahead," and slowly turned the sign from stop to slow and motioned for us to go ahead. We went straight ahead, the only direction you could possibly go for the next 30-some-odd miles, and didn't see any signs of construction, state road workers, or maintenance going on at all. She had no vehicle. We figured she was a flag woman, dropped off by some crew up ahead. After the encounter with the town and this woman, we had enough and called it quits. We turned on the interstate as soon as we found it and headed north and home. Every single one of us still remembers this whole encounter in vivid detail to this day. I asked my friend about it, actually, about 3 months ago at this wedding, and it still freaks him out to no end. Some places are better left unexplained. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share the eeriest place you've experienced.